Everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Rita Garcia-Prats, and this is the Self-Paced AI Bootcamp. This is going to be the video for week 1, but of course you can work at your own pace. That's the beauty of this. I will be occasionally looking up. I've got notes on another screen, so sorry if that seems a little unnatural. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. So you have your link to the page, your password to be able to access the information. And that's what I'm showing here right now. And this week is all about the foundation. So it's making sure that with this, everything else should fall into place, and then your workflow becomes faster and safer, and most importantly, more defensible. So we're going to go ahead and start with a topic that I feel like I discuss a lot, but it's so important if you're going to be integrating AI into your workflow, and that is FERPA. Okay, so this is your week 1. And if you look in the top left corner, it'll show you exactly what week you're on. And this is what I'm talking about here is FERPA, the tools, and also your first prompts. So this week, we're going to be going over FERPA compliance requirements and how they tie into your tool choice. We're going to be talking about green, yellow, and red, which are kind of the rules that I use for the type of data that you can use, and also which tools handle them different and how they handle them differently. I'm also going to be showing you how I use something that I like to call the snip talk drop workflow, and you can use that across ChatGPT Plus, Gemini, Claude. It's not referenced here, but Copilot. And I'm actually not going to be doing a lot of talking about Claude on these videos. I realized very few evaluators use that. So if you do use it, feel free to send me an email and I can send you a quick video of how I do it with Claude. But essentially, it's the same thing. The other thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you with one of my templates how you can build custom instructions that reflect your evaluation philosophy. And this is what you're going to use to prime your agent across the 3 tools that we're going to be using. And so the step 1 is basically the context setting. So you set kind of who your community is, what type of evaluation, what type of philosophy you use. So if that's CSEP or XBAS, and then step 2 kind of covers the reason for the referral. And I've got some prompts that are ready for you to use. And then I'm sharing a prompt library. And again, all of this is embedded in the page, but I will show you exactly where they are about how, and I'm going to show you how I suggest you organize your prompt library by FIE section. But all of these are just recommendations. They are things that have worked for me. So I'm giving you kind of a heads up that if it doesn't feel right, I'm going to show you how you can use AI actually to adjust things to make them more like how you want to work. Okay, so first and foremost, FERPA. Okay, so FERPA is the Family Educational Rights Privacy Act. And if you're a diagnostician in public school, you have to live it and breathe it. Okay, but most people don't realize that FERPA can actually, you are allowed to use it with an AI. It doesn't ban you from using it, but it does create responsibility for you in how you use it. So you have to know what data you're putting into each tool, and you have to know which tool can handle it within FERPA. So that's it, really. You just have to be intentional about how you use AI. So most of us were not trained on this. I know a few of you have taken my sessions before, so you've heard me talk about this. So you've gotten some training, which is great. Okay, but honestly, we weren't really trained to think about that data flow and what happens. So as you begin to add AI into your workflow, you need to make sure that you understand it, because a careless screenshot or a moment of you not reading kind of the terms of the tool that you're using could mean that you have shared sensitive student data, and I don't want you to put yourself into that position. So we're going to talk about safety before we start talking about prompts, okay? So green is anything that's go, like green for go. Okay. So anything that is like synthesized findings, you've already decided if they're above average, average, or below average. So you're not giving scores and you're just kind of giving the synthesized findings. Any kinds of patterns. So you're seeing weaknesses across decoding, let's say. Clinical analysis would be like you've already done the hard work of like organizing the information about CSEP. And so you're ready to just kind of share some ideas about the student. So for example, they're weak in decoding across English subtests, or they have a pattern of difficulty with math reasoning. So you've already kind of done that legwork. You can always put that in general terms. That's green types of data. Yellow is more like you need to show some caution. So that would be assessment data without identifying details. So when I first started using ChatGPT, I was creating tables with subtests and scores within ChatGPT Plus, and mine is set to privacy settings so that it's not training the larger model. But I didn't have an enterprise level ChatGPT. I just had ChatGPT Plus, and I think that's what the majority of you have. So you're paying about $20 a month. And so there, you just need to be careful. I don't really give it snips of score tables anymore. I do that work in a different tool, and I bring it over to chat if I'm going to use it, but already kind of anonymized. So it might say like phonological awareness without a score, and this is like poor if I've used the CTOP, excuse me. Sorry about that. I am working from home. I'll do my best to edit out. Okay. The other thing is, so you definitely do not want to include any names, grades, school, and it requires careful de-identification. The red are student names, family details, health conditions. And I'm not talking so much about like ADHD because there's so many kids with that, but like if there's a kid who's a little bit of a medically fragile student or like has a lot of things together that could identify them easily, or kind of a rare disease, I would never share any of that with an AI tool. And that's just a kind of a blanket statement. Like I'm just trying to make sure that I'm careful about what I'm putting in there. Remember, I do a lot of talking about this. So if somebody's going to question me about whether I use AI, I'm always going to be forthcoming, but I'm also going to make sure that I've said that I've followed FERPA. And this part of my understanding of FERPA is that I won't include any of that data in any tool unless it's protected by my school in an enterprise level DPA, which is data protection agreement. And we can talk more about that in a minute. Okay. I also talk a little bit about green, yellow, and red tools. Okay. So in your school, you might be using Microsoft or you might be using Google. If you're using Microsoft, you've probably seen Copilot. So that means that within your Microsoft ecosystem, you're provided protection because you have some protections within your school contract. Okay. The other thing is Gemini. Gemini is if you're in the Google ecosystem. So Google Docs, Sheets, right? And for Copilot, Microsoft would be Excel, Word docs. So again, you need to make sure that you verify that Copilot and Gemini are also covered under your DPA, but more than likely they are, because if you think about it, we put sensitive information in our sheets, in our Excel sheets or our Google Sheets. We write our FIEs in Google Docs or Word docs. So FERPA is already at play, being protected. They're not sharing that information with third-party vendors. They're not using it in any way that takes it out of your network or your ecosystem. There is an added layer, and because, again, these are new tools for education, I would send an email to whoever maybe start with IT. Sometimes it's housed under instruction. But what I did was I reached out and made sure that my DPA, or data protection agreement, within Microsoft and Google also protected me within the use of Copilot and Gemini. And it's worth making sure, or you just de-identify while you're trying to figure it out. Okay, those would be the green tools though, once you have that DPA clearance. The yellow tools are, you need to make sure that you're careful and you need to make sure that you de-identify. So those would be things like ChatGPT Plus or Claude Pro, not the free versions. We'll talk about that in a minute. So if you're paying about $20 a month for either of these tools, they are considered yellow. If you have the enterprise level, which means you're probably paying about $30 to $40 a month, you have a little added layer of protection. They aren't designed to be used within schools, but they are designed to be used within corporations, and they have sensitive data as well. So you do have more protection if you have enterprise level for either of these. The red tools, where you never want to input student data at all, and I actually wouldn't even recommend really using for this type of work, it would be the free versions of ChatGPT and Claude. And that has changed. I used to say that those were okay to start with, but now understanding better what I understand, I would not use them. Okay, so hopefully that was clear. And of course, you can always refer back to this page for this information. And again, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be using ChatGPT Plus, Copilot, and Gemini. And then if you need me to explain Claude, just send me an email and I will create something for you so that you can look at that. Okay? All right. Now, people always say, all right, I use AI a lot, and I do. And so the way that I get my information into AI has kind of evolved along with all of my workflow for AI. So this is what I call the snip, talk, and drop. Okay, so basically when you snip, you take screenshots of referral documents, parts of teacher input forms, or observational notes, and you can paste that directly into your AI tool. The AI will read it and organize it. You do need to be very careful that there is no sensitive information there. So no personal identifying information, no student names, no IDs, no names of schools, no names of grades. So like the quick ratings that teachers do on those teacher input forms, a map score graph, anything like that, you can probably snip and drop. Okay, so snipping is one way that I give AI information, and that's for all the tools that I use. The other one that I've started using more and more is the talk. Okay, so this, especially when I have information that I cannot easily de-identify or grab a snip of, or when I have physical paper, I read the information aloud. There are microphone tools on all of the AI systems, and you can very easily use those. Sometimes they're a little temperamental, but basically, like here is Gemini's. Okay, here is Copilot and Chat. So all those microphones are the ways that you can talk to your AI. And so I use that a lot for testing observations. And I make sure I don't read any of those in names, or like I do sometimes include the date of the evaluation, but not like a birth date or anything like that. It's great when you can't safely type or paste information, and the AI does a great job of transcribing the processes and conversations. So there's no written record that is created. So basically, like there's no picture of it or typed out of it, right? It's just like a transcribable information, and it's easy to remove identifiable information. I did forget to mention that in SNP, I also now drop work samples, and I have it kind of look at TEKS and show me which TEKS based on the work samples have been mastered and which ones are still developing. Or if it's a dysgraphia, I might ask it to, after giving it the criteria, kind of help me piece through whether it meets the criteria for that. And then the last thing is I drop. So all of these things that are de-identified already easily enough, I can de-identify Google Forms, a Word doc, my notes. As long as it doesn't have any kind of identifiers I've already de-identified, then I can just drop that information in there. And again, those are easily dropped within all of these systems by using the plus sign for all of them. So here, again, I'm going to show you, I'm going to come back here really quickly. This is the plus and the microphone for chat. Okay, and here is the plus and the microphone for Gemini. And here is the plus to add the information and the microphone for Copilot. So again, all of these work similarly. There's really no need to learn something new for all of these. They're all very similar. Okay, so with that said, you want to make sure that you de-identify anything that you can before you do any of those three things. And this will always be available as well on the page. So this next thing that I'm going to share is about custom instructions. And so I'm coming back to the website here. And honestly, this for me has truly revolutionized the way that I am able to use Copilot and Gemini. And I had learned how to create a GPT using chat earlier, but I've kind of refined this whole custom instruction thing now. And the best way to build these custom instructions is within the AI that you're using. So for example, if you are going to continue to use ChatGPT Plus, the best thing to do is to create your custom instructions within ChatGPT. Similarly, for Gemini and Copilot, I have learned that they are better at creating custom instructions for themselves versus trying to create something in something else and then bringing it over. It doesn't change too much, but I do find that it's a little bit better if you just create the custom instructions within the tool that you're going to be using. Okay. So you might be thinking, okay, you keep talking about custom instructions, but like, what are these? Okay. Basically, it's right here. You're going to tell your AI how you work, what framework, so CSEP or cross battery, what your district requires, right? That's up to what your district requires. And I know for some of you, you have flexibility. You also could tell it how you think about evaluation data. Like as a clinician, how do you think about your data? And then the other thing is it allows then the AI, whatever it is you're using, to not start from scratch with every prompt. It fast forwards the training. Some of you may have been working with AI for a while. You might have been using ChatGPT Plus. ChatGPT really understands how you work. But let's say you'd like to stop paying for ChatGPT or really move into the ecosystem that you know protects you should you want to not de-identify everything as carefully anymore. And of course, just an asterisk there, a pin, you have to make sure that your DPA covers Copilot if you're using Microsoft and Gemini if you're using Google. So you have to make sure that it's covered under your DPA, just like your Google Docs, Word docs, Excel sheets, and Google Sheets. Okay. So it kind of fast forwards all of this, and the AI automatically then understands your role, your philosophy, and the standards for all the subsequent work. So instead of telling ChatGPT over and over again, I'm a bilingual diagnostician with every prompt, the custom instructions will say it up front. And every response is already kind of tuned into your expertise. So you customize the template for your district framework. Are you, again, CSEP, patterns, strengths, and weaknesses with like a cross battery. You customize for your community. So is your school in an urban setting? Is it rural? Are you bilingual heavy? And then you load it into your chosen tool. And then once you have it loaded, every prompt you send benefits from those instructions because it's not going to go out searching for other information out into the internet or predicting from lots and lots of data. It's going to be kind of structured within your custom instructions. It's kind of like the skeleton of your agent. And we're going to load the brain as well. So for each agent, we're going to do that. I have kind of a sample of my SLD dyslexia custom instructions here for you to use as an example. Okay, so now I'm gonna okay. So this is downloadable here. Okay. So I'm going to share this. These are the custom instructions, and you have access to it just by pushing that blue button like I did there. And basically, what you're going to do is you're going to answer this information about your community and the context. So basically, you will tell the AI to help you create custom instructions saying whether, like, your setting, right? What your school community looks like, the primary student population, the predominant SLD framework, your evaluation priorities. So you can tell it kind of what is it going to be focusing on, and then any key constraints for your setting. So like if you have limited assessment tools, you don't need it to know about every assessment tool. You just need it to know about the ones that you primarily use. If there are language barriers that you're going to be considered, or if your district has limited intervention history, whether your community is high mobility. Okay, understanding the community context will shape how you interpret information. So you need to make sure that your AI understands that as much as possible. Okay. It also needs to understand your purpose and role. So if you're an educational diagnostician, which many of you are, some of you might be bilingual, you need to have it understand what it's going to be working on. And for this one, it's going to be working on SLD dyslexia evaluations. So custom instructions you can have for different types of disabilities, different types of students. You can create as many of these as you would use. It's kind of like having your bank of templates that you used to refer to, when you got a referral and you were like, oh, I have a student. This reminds me of another student that I evaluated last year. So you pull that template to kind of remember. This kind of helps you to create that within yourself. What it also does is it identifies persistent patterns of difficulty in reading related skills. So it understands how to organize and synthesize the information. You want it to understand and flag areas where additional data might be needed. You want it to generate clear and parent accessible summaries of findings. You never want it to diagnose a disability. You want to make sure that you're preserving your professional judgment, and you also want it to always use TEA and IDEA compliance. Okay, so what you're telling it is you're not making the eligibility decision. You're organizing the data and probing for patterns that a diagnostician will interpret. Okay. The other thing you want to make sure that your AI model knows is the core evaluation principles for dyslexia and SLD reading. So here we're telling it no single score will determine eligibility, dyslexia, and then you're telling it what it's characterized by, what persistent patterns might it see, what exclusionary factors should be considered. So all of this is already in the template. Okay, what intervention might have or not have from your student, right? And then the functional classroom impact, I want to make sure that it's taking that into account. So how is the student's ability to access grade level curriculum impacted potentially in comparison to their same age peers, right? I also tell it what sorts of tests I might use. So all of this is here baked in. And again, you're going to work with AI to create your own. This is here just to give you kind of that framework or that skeleton of what kinds of information you should give your AI about the way that you do evaluations, because again, it's to enhance your workflow. So you might tell it about what kinds of classroom data you'll give it, what sorts of work samples and what you want it to do with that work sample analysis, intervention data. You're telling it what to consider, right? Task demand analysis for tests. And then language and cognitive factors, of course, are important. I use CSEP, so those are really important. Like it's kind of baked in. They're always important, but again, we're looking at dyslexia, so it's got a lot of information about, so you can see how thorough it is. Okay, so it's even got some early indicators. So I've kind of already thought this all through. And then what you'll do is you'll use this, but tell it about your workflow and your kind of clinical knowledge and what you want it to consider, right? So this will hopefully make it nice and easy for your AI model to pull from that information. And I'm just going to download it so that I have it ready to go. So I'm going to say, yeah, this is what I want to call it. It's just SLD custom instructions. Okay. Now, the next thing you're going to do is I'm going to show you how we load those custom instructions into the different models. Okay, so basically, again, you're priming an agent to understand how you do your work. So you don't have to train as hard. Those of you who have been using AI for a long time, you know what I mean. Like at first, it didn't understand fully. It's gotten better as you've started using AI later and later. Like more recently, let's say, if you were starting in 2022 and 2023, it really took some time to have it understand. And if you've, of course, just started within the last year, it's got a lot of knowledge in there already. But we want to make sure that we give it as much context as possible for a better outcome. Okay, so for many of you, ChatGPT Plus is kind of where you've lived. And important to note that, remember, this one is probably your least safe, right? You need to be as careful as possible about what you put into this model, because even though you're telling it to stay private, not train other models, it doesn't really have an obligation to you for data to be shared. So the responsibility of FERPA lies with you. So you have to make sure that everything is very much de-identified. Okay. The way that we do this in ChatGPT is you could do it in two ways. One way is to create a GPT, okay? But for the purposes of this class, I'm going to show you how to also do it within projects, which is what I've honestly been leaning towards more and more. So it's organized like obviously like this, right? And if I click more, it'll have GPTs. So you can build it here, which is the way that I had originally done it. And then if you're going to create it here, there is a black plus there. Okay. You'll name the GPT. So whatever you want to name it, you'll give it a description, and then you'll put in the instructions here and the knowledge. So this would be creating the skeleton, and then this would be creating the brain. The knowledge part creates the brain. Okay. So I'm just going to show you, I'm going to go back to regular Chat GPT, and I'm just going to start a regular chat. So not in a GPT or anything like that. I'm going to use the plus, and I'm going to add the document that I just downloaded. So it's just up here in my arrows for download. There it is, the custom instructions. Okay. And then, because this is just a template, it doesn't have the information about your type of school community and the way that you evaluate, you need to give ChatGPT some more context. So I'm going to speak with a microphone and just tell it about my schools and how I evaluate. Okay. Use these custom instructions as a template to tailor for my school. My school is an urban school with a high emergent bilingual population. It is a Title I school. K-2, it is dual language for pre-K, kinder, and first. In second grade, they transition to all English instruction with ESL supports. In third grade, it continues to be all English with English language supports if they need it, but they also begin using the NES curriculum, which was adopted from HISD. There is limited intervention data for these students, I generally evaluate using either the WISC in English or Spanish, depending on language dominance, or the KBC if no dominance is truly established and the student is really in between languages. And then I generally will pull from the batería if they're Spanish dominant, the TAPS in Spanish if their dyslexia is a suspected disability, and then I will pull from the WIAT or the KTEA if English dominance is there. I begin with language dominance testing using the Woodcock-Munoz Language Survey or the WMLS to determine language dominance with CALP. I use the CSEP model of evaluation, so that is the core selective evaluation process. Ask me any other questions that you need to. Okay, so you can see it has transcribed all of that. Okay, and it's thinking, it's baking. It's asking me some questions here, which I should take the time to answer. Okay. So again, I'm going to hit the microphone and I'm going to say, I generally evaluate, I generally will evaluate first grade through 12th grade students. I did mean the K, yes, for number 2, that is what I meant. For number 3, that is the test of phonics in Spanish. I don't remember the exact name, so see if you can pull that up. The reading curriculum used is, I don't know it right now. And then formal intervention has been progress monitored through M-Class and Amira. MAP and STAR, yes. Teacher reports attendance and tutoring records. Student instructions should only focus on SLD and dyslexia. No, do not name the school district in the instructions, okay? So the answer to number 1 is pre-K through 12. Number 2, that is correct. Number 3, the TAPS in Spanish, I don't remember the exact name, but it is the test of phonological kinds of phonics in Spanish. The reading program, I'm not sure about. It doesn't need to be named. It does have some phonics components to it and then comprehension as well. We do use Amira and MAP and STAR for the appropriate grades, as well as TELPAS, yes, for everything else. The instructions should be focused for only SLD and dyslexia at this time, and do not name my school. So that will just transcribe and continue to kind of customize my instructions. So you can see how this is going to be pretty tailored to what I need for my schools. And I would have ChatGPT create for ChatGPT. And again, Copilot create it for Copilot and Gemini create it for Gemini. But you have the template to be able to do that. And you can see it's like searching websites here. It's being really thorough. And this has even improved since I've started using custom instructions. Like this part of this has also just continued to improve. Okay, so we're just letting it make sure that it keeps thinking. Remember, we gave it a lot of context, so it'll take a little while to continue to do that. Okay. And the process is really very similar for the three different models. So I'm only going to show it really with this one, but it is almost exactly the same. And I will show you where to put the information for all the others, but this would take a very long time if I went through with each of these models. Really, you want to try it with the one that you're mostly going to use. You shouldn't need to create it for all three. Okay. Again, being super thorough while it is working on that. I'm going to bring you back to our page. We'll come back and check on it in a minute. Okay. So I do have some context setting prompts that you can, in addition, like use them if you need to. You may not need to use this first one, honestly, after your custom instructions because they're so thorough. But the reason for referral prompt, potentially they are varied, right? If you're doing an initial evaluation of a single suspected disability versus multiple, and then also if it's a reevaluation. So you have these three kinds of questions here to help you figure that out. And then your prompt library looks like this. It is just the beginning. So like I have the first couple on here for you, and then you want to make sure that you include like what kind of what your prompt is for, so a title for it, and then the actual prompt, the tool that you tested it in, and then any customization notes. So if you changed anything, tried anything new, I would include those notes here. And then by the end of the fourth video, you'll have a collection of at least around 20 different prompts. And if you are intentional about your assignments throughout the boot camp, then you'll be practicing and trying them out to see how they work. So you should really have a pretty robust library. And I'm going to be honest and say that with 3.5 years of use with AI now, I don't really rely on a prompt library anymore. But when I first was starting, I definitely kept a collection of prompts. Okay, so let's come back over and see how chat is doing. It is still working over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the prompt that I used in chat. I'm going to go ahead and just copy it, and I'm going to bring it over to Copilot and just drop it in there. And then I'm going to, so here it is in Copilot. Okay, so I just copied and dropped it into the prompt kind of where you drop your prompts. And then I'm going to put the instructions with, you can do it with the plus, or I'm just going to drop them because they're up here in my computer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let it go there. There it is in Copilot. And then I'm also going to do the same thing in Gemini. Your Gemini might look different than mine because this is my work Gemini. And what you want to do is, it's probably your gems are down here with settings. And your setting gear might be above your name as well. You want to put it, you'll find gems. That's what this is. I'll come back to that because that's not what we needed. I needed the chat. So again, I'm just going to paste that prompt, and I'm going to drop those custom instructions. And for each one, then it'll create its own custom instructions. Okay. So it's ChatGPT is telling me that it's so it's still working here. It's asking me those questions again, which I'm not sure exactly what. Oh no, maybe I'm just wrong. Here we go. Okay, perfect. So it's telling me those custom instructions are ready to go. They are here. Okay, and you can see, like, I'm going to go real granular here, but see how it's now really, really robust. And that tells it a lot about me and how I evaluate. Okay. So for this, I would ChatGPT. I can convert it into a PDF if I actually, I don't remember if that'll do the whole chat, so don't do that. Let me here. So you can actually just copy all of this. There is a way to download, and I'm not sure why I'm not seeing that button right there right now. But there should be a way for you to download this. But if for whatever reason you can't find it, you can always just copy it, right? So I just highlight it all, and then I'm copying it all. And then I'm going to bring it over to back to my GPTs, which is here. Okay. So remember to create a GPT, it is this black button here. Okay. And then I'm going to paste all this in the instructions. Okay. And then I'm going to name this. Oh, it's telling me my instructions are too long. So if that happens, guys, and you want to keep all of them, what you could do is you can add them in knowledge. So then you could open a Google Doc. And again, this, you can tell it to make sure that it's less than 8,000 characters if you'd like, but I'm just going to paste it all here. And I'm going to call it SLD Custom Instructions. It's already got the name. And then I'll just file and download it. Okay, as a PDF. Okay, and then I'm going to show you what you're going to do because it's telling you that this is too long. So you can do Control All and then just delete all of that. And then you can go back to your chat where you were having it create the instructions, which should be your first chat here. And you can say, make, I'm going to speak because I'm terrible at writing, make this less than 8,000 characters. And remember to say characters, not words, because that's really different. But if I wanted to keep this like this is one way that you can shorten it. And then you could say something also like make so I'm going to say, give me a good title and description and instructions for my GPT separately. Okay. So again, while it's thinking, let's go check on the other models. So here is Copilot. So again, here it just gave it in the context of the window, right? So there it all is. It's not quite as robust as ChatGPTs. So you may work on maybe making it more robust if necessary. It may not need it. And then the other one I wanted to show you was Gemini. And so again, Gemini has just given it in the context of instructions like this. So it's not an artifact, which is kind of that separate page that Chat created. But all of these should work for the custom instructions. So let me come back to ChatGPT and see it's still working on that. So it's building shorter custom instructions. Okay, while it's doing that, let's look at Copilot again. So in Copilot, let me share it now. Here are my custom instructions. Okay, in Copilots, you build agents. So this is the chat. So this is the window, right? That collapse. You can collapse that and open it here. This is where you will go. You'll make a new agent. And then you can skip this. You could have built the agent here the way that we did in the chat. So if you did that, then great. If not, you can just skip this section and go to customize. The instructions that it created for itself, you'll paste those here. And then this similarly has the knowledge. So this is kind of the skeleton and this is the knowledge. And they're all a little bit different in how you can insert those instructions, but let's come back over here to these custom instructions that we had it generate. And I'm going to copy all of this. Make sure I grabbed it all. And it may ask us to, it did ask us some questions, so which would be good to answer, but I'm not going to go through that exercise right now, just to have it fine tune a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to new agent because now I have the instructions. Okay, I'm going to skip this again. Or you could paste those instructions here and see what it does. I'm just going to skip it for now. I'm going to see if these instructions are too long, which they may very well be. So let's see. Oh, no, just right. 7,000 characters and we needed 8,000. I'm going to call this, just for now, you can come back and edit it later, but I'm just going to call it the Emergent Bilingual Dyslexia FIE Assistant. Okay. Oh, that's right. It's too long. I'll just leave it like that. And then knowledge down here, you can give it stuff like a copy of your template could go here. No, sorry. Let me pause, because for Copilot, you're right. I cannot upload documents. That's true. So here you could add the TEA website, any other kind of dyslexia type. These are only going to accept websites at this time. Okay. So this one, for here, you want to just add this, and you don't necessarily need to do anything down here. You could have it create prompts like, we're going to work on a dyslexia evaluation, or what grade is my student, or is this we're going to work on an initial or a reevaluation. So anyway, that's just better ways that you can tailor that. And then let me see, it's missing something because it's not going to let me create. So let me just add ta.gov. And then let's see, description cannot be blank. That's what, okay. So then I'm just going to write something really fast right here. So I'm going to copy this just to give it a description. But you can give it any description that you want. It just won't let you move forward without a description. So it's just thinking here. And then when you're ready to go, you can create it. And it's going to create your agent. So, and then start the chat. So whenever you're working on an emergent bilingual dyslexia evaluation, this is where you will come. Okay. And then ChatGPT is telling me that it is ready to go. So let's see. So it did create the final setup here. And it's there. I can download it. So if you wanted to download those instructions, that's what I was looking for earlier. It just, AI is always changing things, which is fine, right? But let's come back to the GPTs. Now, I do have to say, if you don't have Google or ChatGPT Plus, you don't have GPTs. So you have to make sure that you have it before you try this, because it won't work. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I had lost my train of thought for a second. I want to customize, make one. Okay, so here again, you can, we had it write up a description and such. So I'm going to come back to my thread, to my just regular chat over here that I had been working with, custom instructions, and it titled it Bilingual SLD and Dyslexia Evaluation Partner. Sure. I'm going to grab all of this, actually, just the title and the description. I'm going to go to GPTs. Okay. I'm going to come over to this plus create. Okay. And then I'm going to come, it's on configure, which is exactly what you want. So I'm going to paste all of this in description for now. And then I'm going to go, grab the title. I need to do it again. I accidentally moved over. Okay. So I'm just going to paste that into the description. And then I'm going to move more slowly so that I don't mess with it. And I'm going to, oh, there it is, partner. Okay. I'm going to grab that, X, paste it. Didn't grab it all. Don't want the dictionary. There we go. This is the part I didn't get. Okay. So there is its name. Here is its description. I can get rid of that. Except for I don't need it defined. I can get rid of that. Okay. And then the instructions. I can upload the file that I had downloaded earlier, right? So for here, you can't just drop it. So I'll need to find it, and let me remember what it was called. It is called bilingual. Bilingual. Oh, so I'm gonna do the bilingual. No, I'm gonna do the SLD dyslexia custom instructions. Okay, so I'm going to open this actually, the bilingual one, the shorter one. It's going to open it on a different screen for me. So give me just a second. I'm just going to copy it. Okay. So I'm going to copy that information. That was just when I had it shortened, remember, because the instructions were too long there. Okay. So here for knowledge, you could upload a de-identified FIE template that you wanted it to make sure that it always looked at. It's telling me that it's still over 8,000 characters. So not sure why, because I gave it specific instructions, but I'm going to go ahead and delete those. I'll give it instructions later, and I will upload files. I will look for the SLD custom. And I searching downloads. Not sure what's going on here because it's saying that it can't find it. Okay, well, you would continue to troubleshoot with ChatGPT here at this point, making sure that you get those characters down to less than 800 characters because it won't let you. So I'm going to say this is over characters. And let's see if it will create those. While that's working, let's go check on Gemini. So here's Gemini, and these are the custom instructions that were in my chat. I'm going to grab those right now. It did have some follow-up questions, which you, again, probably want to answer before you move on. And remember, it's down here, but this gear might be above your name because mine is a work, like a corporate one, and yours is like the education one. So you'll go here. They're called gems. Okay. You can see I've already created some. I'm going to create a new gem right here, this blue plus button here. Here are the instructions. So let's see. There they are. And I'm going to call it ED Dyslexia Assistant. Okay. And here, Gemini lets you also add files. So you can add your TEA guidance, your dyslexia handbook. It won't let you do websites for this one. But what's cool about Gemini, I will, it does require a name. Oh, I put that in the, sorry. Okay, here we go. And X, the name is here. There's my gem. Okay, and for this, I'm just going to I'm going to say, I just looked right here. You're supporting an educational diagnostician. Okay, just kind of grab the role. It's redundant for now. You can obviously take your time and write nice directions. They're there. You just can't see them all. Okay. But there it is. And then it has the instructions that I gave it. And then you'll click save. Okay. It says it's been created. You can start a chat. I'll get rid of that. That was just additional. So there it is in Gemini. Your background might be white. That's just, I had changed the setting for that one. So we have our Copilot 1, which is an agent. Okay, there it is. And then in ChatGPT, which was still giving us trouble, I'm going to copy this last bit of instructions here. Let me share the ChatGPT link. Okay, it's continued to shorten, so let's see if it'll let us do this. And I would definitely keep that robust one as part of your knowledge for this. Okay, so again, I'm just trying to take this over. Here are my GPTs. Okay, I think we might officially have one started now. No. I thought we had already begun one, but I guess it didn't register it. Okay, so create, and then let me move over here. Sorry, I was moving my window. Okay, let me move over here. Paste instructions. Let me call it up. Okay, I'm just going to say, help me draft students. Okay, and then the knowledge, I would upload Google. There. Let's see what it's called again. Bilingual SLD. There it is. Open. Okay, so there's the knowledge. And again, you can drop the dyslexia handbook there. Anything that's going to give it knowledge of what you want to do. Okay, and then you'll hit create. I think this is why it wasn't saving earlier. Create. Save. You don't need to worry about any of this. And then you'll view your GPT. I don't want to worry about this right now. View my GPT. Okay, let me just close that. And there it is. Okay, and there's my place where I interact with it. Okay, so now I'm going to come back over here. This is kind of where we are. So you can have it do the reason for referral prompt. Sorry, here we are. So this was, again, right under the custom instructions, the context setting prompt you may or may not need, right? I'm just going to not grab it. And then I'm going to paste, this is an initial for one disability. So I'm going to have it be just the dyslexia, because that's the ChatGPT or the GPT that I created, the agent that I created for the other. So I'm going to bring it over to ChatGPT. I'm going to paste this here, and I'm going to let it go. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing in all of the agents or gems that I have created. So here is Gemini, the gem, and there I'm putting the same exact prompt in all of them. And we'll go back through again and see what they've written. So the purpose of, and it's telling me insert disability here, so I can just speak it and say, this is a dyslexia evaluation. And it should rewrite that. Yep. And if you don't like it bolding like that, you just tell it, don't put bolded words in paragraphs. Okay, but you can see how specific learning disability and dyslexia. Send. Yep. And it's already doing the X student because it was part of the instructions. And I'm going to say, don't bold words within paragraphs. If you want, sorry. If you want it to not do that anymore, you can put that in your custom instructions somewhere. Okay. And then last but not least is Gemini. So here it is a specific learning disability in the area of dyslexia. Okay, this one decided it's going to give me some more structure, and I'm just going to say, write this as a reason for referral paragraph, like for an FIE. It's giving me all the background of what I need to do next. It's like following the custom instructions, but it's just didn't give me the paragraph. And I want that first, because once I read this, if I like how it's written, then I copy and I paste it into a Google Doc. Okay, but the reason why we do custom instructions is to prime the AI for understanding what your role is, the type of evaluations. Oh, sorry, I didn't show the Gemini. Here it is. Okay, so I had given it the prompt, and then it gave me kind of the structure of what we're going to be doing, and then I just told it to give me the paragraph. So here, write the reason for referral paragraph, and then it did that. Okay, so we should be getting close to wrapping up this first session. Okay, so you do have a reevaluation prompt there. Okay, I showed you your prompt library earlier, but here it is again. So any prompts that you used, if you had to say, like, for example, I had to say, don't make bolded words. And, I would write that in the notes so that I would remember what I did when that happened, to adjust the output that I'm getting. And then, so these are the different sections. Okay. So after this video, what you should try to do are these things. You should try to load the instructions and then test it with your reason for referral paragraph, and then save to your prompt library what you wrote, and keep it organized for yourself to help you remember what you need to do. Okay, so that is video 1 for week 1, even though you're self-pacing. Reach out with emails if you're not sure about something. I'm happy to help. Sorry about the dog bark in the middle of this. Yeah, I'm available if you need me, Rita at comprehensivepartners.com, and look forward to continuing to interact with you guys.